Well, hey, welcome to the Rise Podcast. Grateful that wherever you are, that you're tuned in right now. Means the world that you are leaning in, listening. Let's get better. Let's grow closer to our God-given purpose and potential together. Apologies that besides last week's episode, there haven't been a ton of episodes recently. Let me tell you what, planting a church, starting Movement Church is the greatest privilege in ministry I've ever had. It's the most fun in ministry I've ever had. It's the most rewarding thing in ministry I've ever done. And it's the hardest thing in ministry I've ever done. So the reason that episodes don't release like every week or something like that, life is just kind of chaotic in the best way right now. So I still want to bring content as frequently as I can. And to quote Erwin and Aaron McManus with their podcast, this podcast releases every day, except for the days that it doesn't. Okay. I want to talk to you today on this idea, and I think it's going to be helpful for you. I think especially in the faith space, in the Christian space, in the church space, this is a subject we don't talk enough about, and I want to talk about it with you today. Here's the title. You need self-awareness. You, yes, you, incredible, gifted, anointed man or woman of God on the other side of this, you need more self-awareness, not just your best friend or your sibling or your parent or your manager or your coworker or your neighbor. You need more self-awareness. There are people, especially who are spiritual, especially who are Christian, especially I found in the church world, who think that every great breakthrough, every next level, every next step you're going to take in your life is going to come from a spiritual lesson that you've learned. It's going to come from a sermon that you listen to. It's going to come from a scripture that you read. It's going to come from a prayer session or a shando or something like that. Sometimes what you need to go to the next level in your life, in your purpose, in following God is greater self-awareness. Now, I'm not talking about self-worship or self-idolization or anything like that. I'm not talking selfishness. I'm not talking self-obsession where all you think about is you. That's unhealthy. Self-awareness is I understand me, what motivates and drives me, how I come off to other people, and how external things like other people and like circumstances impacts me. And until you have self-awareness, you are and no disrespect, I'm saying this to the general podcast audience, not to you specifically, but if it hits you, it hits you, and that's okay. Until you have self-awareness, you are kind of like a wrecking ball, just running into things and smacking into this and hitting into that and messing up this and hitting that. And you're wondering, why do I never last so long at work? Why do my friendships go really well for a time and then they fizzle out? Why is my marriage kind of stalled out in our intimacy? And I'm not going to tell you this is the only reason, but a significant reason for many, many, many people is because you are not aware of how the world is impacting you and how it's making you feel and how you're responding. And you're not aware of how you are coming across to people. There are people who are genuinely nice. They're kind-hearted. They are not rude. They are not negative. They are not critics. They are not haters. But you don't understand that the tone of voice that you use talking to that person, talking to that friend, talking to that person who works at that restaurant, it sounds condescending. It sounds like you think you're better than them. Hear me, not necessarily because you do. Maybe you just don't realize that that tone leads people to think this. That's self-awareness. Self-awareness is realizing that maybe your marriage isn't at the next level of intimacy because you come home from work. You work 8 to 5, 8 to 6, 9 to 5, whatever you work. And you come home and you've given your best to the tasks at work and the coworkers and managers and bosses that you work with, and you don't have any more of your best to give to your spouse. And if you have kids, to your kids. And sometimes you need the spiritual gift of self-awareness. And I say spiritual gift because Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So if it's true, it's of God. If it's true, and if it's true about me, well, that still counts as truth. So discovering more about God is super important, but discovering more about me is super important. Not so I can be more obsessed with myself, but so I can understand what needs I have and learn to find them in God and understand how I impact other people so that I can serve and love them better. Let me give you some Bible. 1 Timothy 4:16. Paul writes this to Timothy: keep a close watch on yourself. How can you watch yourself if you don't know yourself? What's Paul saying? He's saying you gotta be self-aware, not self-obsessed, self-aware. There are people, and I'm Gen Z, so let me just take one quick loving, not even shot at my generation, but let me just step on our toes a little bit. Maybe older millennials and Gen X and beyond that in age did not spend enough time paying attention to their emotions and how they're feeling and how life has got them feeling. And that's not healthy. But can I just say really briefly, it is possible that while one extreme would have you thinking about your emotions never and how you feel never, there are many people in Gen Z and Gen Alpha, the generation coming behind my generation. We are so obsessed with our feelings. Watch this. We think we are our feelings, okay? You are not your feelings. You are not the way that you feel. That is a part of you, but that is not you, okay? So it is possible to not be self-aware and not be in touch with your emotions and not be in touch with how you're coming across to people and how people are making you carry yourself. But it is also possible to be self-obsessed and to think you are the center of your own universe. And by the way, if that's you and you're under the age of like 27, I don't fully blame you because you grew up with one of these devices that I'm streaming into and talking into right now, which is a phone, and you have a selfie camera, and you've just kind of been taught, not even by people telling you this, but by the orientation of things around you, that you're the center of the universe. Can I just break this lie from you? It's going to set you free. You're not the center of the universe. And that's not because you're not awesome and lovely and amazing and beautifully and fearfully, wonderfully made with a great purpose and destiny. It's because Jesus is the purpose. Jesus is the center. And so the sooner you can take yourself out of that seat in your own heart and mind, the sooner you can get to a place of, I'm not going to be obsessed with myself, and I'm not going to be unaware of myself. I'm going to be self-aware. Self-awareness cannot exist where there is so much arrogance and self-centeredness, but it also can't exist when you don't pay any attention to you. So I want to live right here where I know me. And I need to do a whole series on this maybe, because self-awareness isn't just knowing your flaws and things you need to get better at. It's also knowing your strengths. Like, do you know what you're good at? Do you know what, when you do it like you do it, no one else can do it like you? That it blesses, encourages, strengthens, makes other people better. Self-awareness is not, here's all the things I suck at and need to get better at. That is a part of it. Another part of it is, here's all the things I am awesome at, and I need to spend as much time doing those things as I possibly can to advance the purpose of God on my life in this world. So can I tell you, it's possible that the next level in your life, in your faith, in your destiny, it's not going to come when you hear one more sermon or even read one more scripture. It's going to come with greater self-awareness.